One of the main questions that I get on this channel is what does it take to become a bartender? And while making drinks is not everything that you need to know to become a bartender, there are a lot of other skills, it is one of the very main things. And what you are really expected to know if you're going to be working at any self-respecting cocktail bar is at least 50 classic cocktail recipes. Okay, maybe we're not gonna teach you every single classic recipe. That was a bit of an upsell. What we're gonna be focusing on is call drinks. And for those of you that don't know, call drinks are drinks that can be ordered at any bar. So if you walk into any self-respecting cocktail bar, they should be able to make these 50 drinks. And if you like drinking at home, if you like making cocktails, you should know these drinks too. First cocktail that we're gonna tackle is an old fashioned, and I like to build my old fashions inside a glass with a sugar cube. Grab a sugar cube and add it in there. Then we're gonna do 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. Add a little dash of soda, and just give it a little muddle. Then we're just gonna add 2 ounces of rye whiskeys. So I like to use a rock of ice in my old fashions. It's just a little bit better presentation. It gives you a little bit less dilution. Drop that into our glass like so, and then give it a stir. I also like to lift the ice as I stir a little bit, and that whooshes the sugar underneath the ice and helps it dissolve a little bit. And then we're just gonna do an orange twist, traditional. And then I like to do a little lemon twist as well, which gives it a little more sharp citrus character. I like to finish my old fashions with fancy cherry, being careful not to get too much of the cherry syrup in there, but if you do, it's still gonna be delicious. So Manhattan's pretty close to an old fashioned, but you're gonna need to have a mixing glass. So first thing we're gonna do is 4 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, 2 ounces of rye whiskey. And we're just gonna add some ice here, and then take a larger cube, and with the back of the spoon, crack it. You wanna make sure that you stir with a lot of ice. And Manhattans are served up, so you're gonna wanna use a Nick and Nora, a coupe, or a cocktail glass for this drink. And then the traditional garnish is a cherry. You can put the cherry on a pick if you want, and you have a little treat at the end of your cocktail. Next cocktail we're doing is a Sazerac, which is really close to an old fashioned, although built in a mixing glass. Add a sugar cube, 4 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, a little dash of soda, and muddle it, 2 ounces of rye whiskey. And we're just gonna add our ice. Now this cocktail calls for an absinthe rinsed coupe, which you can just drop the absinthe in, but I like to use a atomizer here, which will give it a nice even coat in the glass. And then we're just going to strain into our glass like so, and then give it a lemon twist. Some people like to put it in the glass, but you can get a little bit of bitterness from the peel. There it is, the Sazerac. The Negroni is a very simple equal parts cocktail. So we're gonna go 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, 1 ounce of gin. You can use any type of gin you want, and you can use any type of sweet vermouth you want, and that's a really good way of sort of customizing your Negroni. And then 1 ounce of Campari, and take a big rock of ice and give it a stir. Then we're gonna take a nice big orange twist, give it a zest. This is a mint julep chalice, and it is the traditional glass for this drink. What you're gonna do is you are going to take some mint leaves, and we're going to make a little mint sprig for the garnish as well. So we're just gonna take the bottom leaves, and then we're gonna take a cube of sugar, 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of bourbon. We'll take our muddler or a similar blunt object, and we're just gonna give it a little press. You wanna make sure you just press the mint leaves very lightly. We're gonna be using pebble or crushed ice for this cocktail, and we're just gonna give it a light stir. And then we're going to add ice back into the glass like so. And we're gonna make a little snow cone on top. And we take our mint sprigs that we made, give them a little slap, pinch off, and we're just gonna place them in there like so. And you want a nice big bushy mint, and there's the mint julep. This is the very first shaken cocktail that we're doing today. We're doing a Tom Collins. 3/4 ounce of fresh lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of London dry gin. Put some ice into our tin, and give it a nice shake. We're gonna take a highball glass, fill it with our ice. We're gonna put soda water. Double strain this cocktail so as to get the ice chips out and avoid more dilution. Add a little more soda. I like to do a lemon twist for this as well. And then just spritz it on top. And traditionally, a little cherry. The Margarita is a pretty simple drink. It's based on an old school drink called the Daisy, which is a class of drink that takes its sweetness from liqueurs, not sugar, but today we're gonna be doing it a little bit differently. So 3/4 ounce of lime juice, 1/4 ounce light agave, 3/4 ounce of Cointreau, 1.5 ounces of tequila blanco. We're gonna be making this in a rocks glass. We're gonna rub that lime just around the glass like so, about halfway around. We're gonna take some salt here, and we're just gonna flake that on the side like so. Fill our tin with ice, give it a nice hard shake. Give it a nice double strain. Just gonna finish it off with a little lime wheel. Everyone's favorite cocktail, the daiquiri. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and 2 ounces of rum. Add our ice to our tin. I'm just gonna double strain it into our glass and garnish it with a lime wheel. There are a lot of different ways to tackle the martini, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna show you my favorite ratio. 4 dashes of orange bitters into a glass. Grab our dry vermouth here, 1 ounce, 2 ounces of gin. Put our ice into our glass and give it a stir. Strain our cocktail into the glass like so. Just give it a nice twist. Make sure the oils spread out on the top of the cocktail. And just drop that in like that. So the Brandy Alexander is just a really satisfying dessert cocktail. We're gonna add 1 ounce of creme de cacao, 1.5 ounces of brandy or cognac. Add in some ice here. So typically this is a drink that would actually add 1 ounce of cream and then shake it, but I like to stir it and then layer the cream on top. It's just a nicer presentation, and you can always mix the cream in if you like. Strain it into our glass, and then we're just going to layer the cream on top like so. And there you have the Brandy Alexander. So the improved whiskey cocktail is built a lot like an old fashioned. It is actually the precursor to an old fashioned. Sugar cube into our glass like so. 1 dash of Angostura bitters, 1 dash of Peychaud's bitters, 1 bar spoon of absinthe, 1 bar spoon of maraschino liqueur. I like to put in a little dash of soda. I'm just gonna give this a nice muddle. 2 ounces rye whiskey. Fit this into our glass, stir it. Pull a nice long lemon peel, twist, stick it into our drink. Voila. The gin Rickey is a very old drink, dates all the way back to the 1800s. So you just want to take 4 lime pieces, put them in the bottom of your glass like so. 2 ounces of gin. We'll take a muddler or similar blunt object. I like to take a spoon and just like pull these up a little bit, and then we'll add in some ice, and then just add soda. Add in a straw and enjoy. There's many ways to make a Paloma. Today we're just gonna do the most traditional version that we know how to do. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, 1.5 ounces of tequila blanco. Give it a shake. Give it a strain. Then we're gonna add in a little ice. Add in some squirt. The Paloma. The Bee's Knees is a Prohibition-era sour that just supplants simple syrup with honey syrup, giving it a nice richer and warmer flavor. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup, 2 ounces of gin. Strain into our glass. So here we are, the Bee's Knees. So the Monte Carlo is just a really simple riff on an old fashioned, and we're just taking out the sugar and putting it in Benedictine. 3 to 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. I'm just gonna do a really small quarter of Benedictine. 2 ounces of rye whiskey. We got our nice big old cube of ice. Stir it till it's just frosted on the outside of the glass. And then garnish with a lemon twist. Give it a little spritz, like so. The Monte Carlo. The Boulevardier, a bourbon take on a Negroni. What could be better? Pretty simple drink. It's not the same equal parts specs as a Negroni. What we're gonna do is 3/4 of an ounce of sweet vermouth, 3/4 ounce Campari, 1.5 ounces of bourbon. And give it the old whirly twirl. Strain it into our glass like so. Take our orange twist like so. So there it is, the Boulevardier. The Mai Tai is arguably one of the most iconic tropical cocktails on the planet. And of course, when you make a Mai Tai, you need to have a Mai Tai glass. 1 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of orange curacao, 1/2 ounce of orgeat, almond syrup, 1/2 ounce of dark agricole rum, and 1.5 ounces of Jamaican rum. And we're gonna kill this bottle on this drink. We're gonna be using pebble ice for this cocktail. And what we're gonna do is just a little dab of pebble ice into the tin and give it a whip shake. And do an open gated pour, top it up with pebble. And we finish it off with a mint bouquet. And there's the Mai Tai. The Aperol Spritz, created in Venice, Italy around 1919. This is a staple in every single bar. 2 ounces of Aperol into it, about 3 ounces of Prosecco. Put some ice in. Finish it off with a splash of soda, a little half a orange wheel. Super simple, super tasty, the Aperol Spritz. The champagne cocktail first appeared in the 1862 edition of Jerry Thomas's Bon Vivant's Guide. It is a very simple drink. We're using Prosecco, although we should be really using champagne, but Prosecco is what we have on hand. So we're just gonna add our Prosecco into our glass like so. I will say that if you do this with Prosecco or sparkling wine, it's gonna be a little bit sweeter and less dry than with regular champagne. Take a sugar cube and then just douse it with Angostura bitters, a couple few dashes, and then you just drop it in like so. The champagne cocktail. The Pink Lady cocktail is a Prohibition-era riff off another Prohibition-era cocktail called the White Lady, which supplants the grenadine for simple syrup. So first thing we're gonna do is grab our big tin and we're gonna crack an egg and just separate the egg white. Set that aside, and then in the small tin, we're gonna build our cocktail. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 ounce grenadine, 1 ounce gin, and 1 ounce America's first native distilled spirit, Applejack. So you can do a dry shake or a reverse dry shake, whatever your preference is. So for this drink, we're gonna be shaking with 1 big rock of ice, and shake. And then strain. I like to do a little lemon twist. Give it a little oil on top, and there it is, the Pink Lady. And now since we have all of the ingredients out, we might as well make a Jack Rose. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of grenadine, 2 ounces of Applejack, ice into the tin. We're gonna give it a nice hard shake. Just give it a strain, and then we're gonna give it a lime wheel. The Jack Rose. The Caipirinha is Brazil's national drink, and it also translates in Portuguese to little countryside drink, apparently. We're gonna take 6 pieces of lime, place them peel side down, add 1 brown sugar cube, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of cachaça, and then we're just gonna give this a little muddle. Add some ice cubes into our big tin. Dump this, top it up with a little bit more ice to take up volume, and there you have a Caipirinha. Now, since we still have the grenadine out, we might as well make a Mexican firing squad special. 4 dashes of Angostura bitters into the bottom of your tin. 3/4 of an ounce of grenadine, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 2 ounces tequila blanco. And strain it. Take a little Luxardo cherry and a lime wedge, spear it through like so, and just add it to the glass. And there you have the Mexican firing squad special. Glassware is probably one of the most popular equal parts cocktails. It is the cocktail that launched 1,000 other cocktails. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of Luxardo maraschino, 3/4 of an ounce of green chartreuse, 3/4 of an ounce of gin. Drain it, garnish with a little Luxardo cherry. The last word. The traditional sidecar is kind of a problematic recipe. It just doesn't really balance well. So today, admittedly, I'm doing a more modern take on the sidecar. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon rich Demerara syrup, 3/4 of an ounce of orange curacao, and 2 ounces of cognac. Give it a strain, cut a little orange disc, and then just give it a little spritz on the top like so, and we're just gonna drop it in there. And there you have the sidecar. I'm gonna tell you right now that this is not the mojito that you guys are used to seeing be made. And I'm not gonna qualify the reason why I make this mojito and why I think it's better. I'm just going to ask you guys to solely try it and see if you like it. We're gonna take a lime, we're gonna cut it into 6 pieces. And then we're gonna take a pinch of mint. But what we're also gonna do with this mint is make mint sprigs for the garnish. So we're just gonna take the bottom leaves and we're gonna leave the top leaves like that. So you wanna take 8 to 10 mint leaves, put them in the bottom of your tin. Then we're gonna take your lime and we're gonna put them in here, peel side down. We're gonna add 1 sugar cube and 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Then you're gonna need a muddler or a similar blunt object, and we're going to muddle everything. Now, the reason why we put that lime peel side down is because we wanna express the oil out of the peel. Once it's nice and muddled, we're gonna add 2 ounces of rum. Add a small amount of pebble. Take all the contents and just dump it, top this up with pebble. Then last, we're gonna take those mint sprigs and we're just going to give them the old slappy poo and a little crushy pants to release those oils. twist off the stem and just place it into the drink like so. And there you have a mojito. The Corpse Reviver No. 2 is a hair of the dog cocktail first published by Harry Craddock in his 1930 book, The Savoy Cocktail Book. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of Arcoque Americano, 3/4 of an ounce of Cointreau, and 3/4 of an ounce of gin. Before we shake this, we're gonna give it a little absinthe rinse. I like to put this in an atomizer to evenly distribute the rinse. Strain it into our glass, and we're gonna give this a lemon peel garnish, zest it over the top. And there you have Corpse Reviver No. 2. Today we're doing a gimlet, but we're gonna be doing a more modern take on it. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of gin. Give it a strain, cut a nice lime wheel. Stick that on the rim of the glass like so, and there you have your gimlet. The Martinez is the cocktail that purportedly gave birth to the Martini. It is named for the town of Martinez, where it is said to have been born. 2 dashes of orange bitters, 1½ ounces of sweet vermouth, 1 bar spoon of maraschino liqueur, 1½ ounces of Old Tom gin. So add some larger ice cubes on top, give it a stir. Strain it, we're gonna give this guy a lemon twist. The Martinez. If I were to have a favorite drink, the Singapore Sling would be it. 1 ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of pineapple juice, 1/4 of an ounce of grenadine, the equivalent of 1 dash of Angostura bitters, 1/4 ounce Cointreau, 1/4 ounce cherry heering, 1/4 ounce Benedictine, and 1.5 ounces of gin. Strain it, and we're gonna top it up with soda. Dash more on top, garnish with a pineapple. The Singapore Sling. The Silver Fizz is one of the original egg white sours, just charged up with a little bit of soda water. And separate the white into the larger tin. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, 1.5 ounces of gin. We're going to add the cocktail solution to our egg white and give it a dry shake. Now, because this is a egg white cocktail, I'm gonna be shaking with 1 big rock. So this will give very little dilution, but it's gonna preserve that texture that you want. Double strain just in case there are any shards of ice. Some nice, very cold soda water, and just build it up. And there you have the Silver Fizz. The Daisy is the great grandmama to the original Margarita. That's all you gotta know about it. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of orange curacao, 1.5 ounces of gin. Strain it. 2 bar spoons of very cold soda. We're gonna take a peel, twist it on top, and there you have the Daisy. The Jungle Bird is one of, in my opinion, the best drinks that came out of the tiki canon, but it's also quite possibly one of, if not the most balanced. 2 ounces of pineapple juice, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of Campari, and if you think you don't like Campari, you will in this drink, I promise you that. And 2 ounces of dark Jamaican rum. This is gonna be one of those easy shake and dump drinks, so just a little Scotia pebble ice into our tin. Then we're just gonna pour it into the glass, add our pebble, garnish with some pineapple fronds, pop it up a little more pebble ice, and there you have your Jungle Bird. The Americano cocktail not only is an incredibly satisfying highball, but it's also the precursor to the Negroni. It was first being served at Gaspar Campari's bar in 1860. Add in 1 ounce of Campari, 1.5 ounces of sweet vermouth. And then what I'm gonna do here is just add in a little bit of soda water and then the ice. And we add in the rest of our soda water. We wanna make sure that the soda water does not layer on top of the cocktail. And so we're gonna try and pour it off the ice as much as possible. We're just gonna garnish with an orange twist. And I like to just like snake the peel in like so. And there you have the Americano. The Bamboo cocktail is a low ABV offering, usually credited to a bartender named Louis Eppinger, who bartended at the Grand Hotel in Yokohama, Japan around 1902. 1 dash of orange bitters, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1.5 ounces of dry vermouth, and 1.5 ounces of Fino sherry. and give it a stir. We're just gonna drain our cocktail off like so. We're gonna give it a lemon twist. There you have the bamboo. So the Dark and Stormy is basically a Moscow Mule variation. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. I'm gonna add the ginger beer in at the bottom, a little bit, leaving just enough at the top. And then we're gonna take our rum and pour 2 ounces. Just slowly pour that on the ice and layer it and give it a garnish. And there you have the Dark and Stormy. The Whiskey Smash was created in 1862 by the Professor Jerry Thomas, the godfather of modern bartending. So 8 to 6 mint leaves into the bottom of the tin, reserving the mint sprigs. 1 cube of sugar, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, 4 lemon wedges. And then we're gonna place them into our tin. You wanna place them peel side down if you can. And we're gonna muddle these guys like so. 2 ounces of any type of whiskey you like. Today we are using bourbon. We're just gonna take a skosh of pebble ice, dump into our glass with all of the contents in there like so. And then we're just gonna take those reserved mint sprigs, give it the old slappy poo, twist it off at the end like so, and then just add it in. Give it a straw, and there you have your Whiskey Smash. The Fix is the drink that gave birth to the sour category of drink. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of 1-to-1 simple syrup, 2 ounces of gin. Skosh in the tin. And then we're just gonna ungated pour right into the glass like so. Fill with pebble. And just garnish with a little lemon wheel. And there's the Fix. The Vesper Martini is James Bond's preferred martini, and it made its debut in the book Casino Royale. 1 ounce of Russian vodka, 2 ounces of gin. Give it a stir. And then we're just gonna strain our drink and add a lemon twist. There it is, the Vesper. The 20th Century Cocktail is credited to a bartender named C.A. Tuck and was first published in the Café Royal cocktail book in 1937. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of Coca Americano, one of my favorite white wine aperitif liqueurs, 3/4 of an ounce of white creme de cacao, and 1.5 ounces of gin. Add some ice to our tin, strain into a glass, garnish with a little lemon twist. And there you have the 20th century. The French 75 emerged around 1915 at Harry's American Bar in Paris, and it was purportedly named after the French 75, which was a 75mm light field gun used during World War I. 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, and 1 ounce of gin. Ice in the tin. Shake. And then we're just gonna strain, top it off with a little bit of the bubbly. For this cocktail, I like to use a channel knife. I'm just got a nice long, thin peel. And drop it into my glass. Voila, the French 75. The Aviation is one of the most polarizing cocktails in the Daisy category. Everyone seems to think that they have a build that just hits the right spot and really gets the right balance. I really like the one that we're about to do. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/8 of our creme de violette, 3/8 maraschino liqueur, 2 ounces of gin, strain it, cherry, and drop it into the glass. And there you have the Aviation. The history's a little bit hazy on the Rye Buck, but it's basically a gussied up Moscow Mule. 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of ginger syrup, 2 ounces rye whiskey, strain it into our glass. Now add in a little bit of soda water, get the effervescence going. Then we add our ice. Top it up with a little bit more soda water. A lime twist. The Rye Buck. The Moscow Mule is a cocktail created in the 1940s in Los Angeles, one of the very few Los Angeles cocktails, at a bar called the Cock and Bull. First things first, you want a copper mug. This is traditional. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. 2 ounces of Russian vodka, so we can rightly call it a Moscow Mule. Again, we're gonna add just a little bit of our ginger beer to get the effervescence going, and then some ice cubes. I'm gonna fill it up there, top it up with a little more ginger beer. We're just gonna put a little lime wheel on top. And there it is, the Moscow Mule. The Kangaroo cocktail is always put forth as the original vodka martini, as it was included in the later editions David A. Embry's The Fine Art of Mixing Drinks. 3/4 of an ounce of dry vermouth, 2 1/4 ounces of vodka. And for a garnish, just a single olive. And there you have the proper vodka martini, AKA the Kangaroo. The Hemingway Daquiri, also known as the La Floridita No. 3, was created for Hemingway. 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of grapefruit juice, 3/4 of an ounce of maraschino liqueur, and we're using 1.5 ounces of Cuban style rum. Well, in this case, we're actually using Cuban rum. There we go. The Hemingway Daquiri. The Vieux Carre is a quintessential New Orleans cocktail. It's basically a zhuzhed up Manhattan. And Vieux Carre means old square in French, which is a reference to the French Quarter of New Orleans. 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, very short 1/4 ounce of Benedictine, 1 ounce of rye whiskey, and 1 ounce of cognac. And we're just gonna add our nicely tempered ice, give it a stir, and finish it with a cherry. And there you have the Vieux Carre. The Presbytarian is just a highball gussied up with a little bit of ginger beer. 2 ounces of scotch. And of course, we're gonna add in a little bit of effervescence ahead. We're gonna add a little ginger beer ahead, like we do. And we're just gonna split the difference, 1/2 ginger beer, 1/2 soda water. And you just stick it in like that. And there you have the Presbytarian. The Pisco Sour originated at the legendary Morris Bar in Lima, Peru. Crack our egg, separate the white. We safely did our egg white in the big tin, make the cocktail in the small tin. 3/8 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 an ounce of simple syrup, and 2 ounces of Pisco. Give it a dry shake for about 30 seconds, and then we want to shake with a big rock of ice. And then strain it. Give it a little Angostura bitters garnish here. So we're just gonna drop, and there it is, the Pisco Sour. The whiskey sour is a drink that everyone thinks the original version had egg white, but the original version back in the early 1800s didn't actually have egg white. It wasn't until 1890 when the New York Sour came out that egg white came into play. Today we are going to be doing it with egg white because the modern whiskey sour 9 times out of 10 contains egg white, and it is fantastic that way. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of bourbon or any whiskey of your choice. So because we prepped our cocktail in this tin, we're going to put our egg white in this tin so we don't ruin anything, just in case we make a mistake. Then what we're gonna do is marry our cocktail. You can dry shake it for about 30 seconds to really emulsify and aerate the egg white. So we're gonna shake this cocktail with 1 big rock so that we can get less dilution, but we want superior foam. And we are going to double strain this cocktail. We're just gonna take a little Angostura bitters here, and we're just going to drop a few drops. All right, guys, so there you have it, the 50 most important classic cocktails. Now you guys know how to go into a bar and order it. You know what they're supposed to look like. You can make them at home. I hope you use this video as a reference video every time you think of making one of these classic cocktails, and I will see you guys on another time. Leandro, out.